If you, Mark Frost, could give Laura Palmer some advice, what would you tell her?
Move out of your house immediately.
When you began thinking about Twin Peaks and something so cryptic and oniric and weird, did you think it was a good idea that was going to be as important as it ended up being?
Well, I'll answer that in two parts. I did think it was a good idea, yes. And two, I had no idea how people would receive it. We just tried to make the best show that we could possibly make in a way that perhaps no one had ever made a show before, for network television anyway. I had absolutely no idea if it was going to work at all. I just felt that with the chemistry David and I had and the way that we worked, which entertained us tremendously, we just laughed and laughed and laughed. And we had the best time. And we thought if we can give people a sense of the fun that we're having, I think we could maybe blow the doors off the building, and maybe some people will want to come in and watch. But it would have been crazy to say, yeah, on the opening night of this show, which was, like 2 years later, we're going to get numbers like they do for the Super Bowl.
Special Agent Dale Cooper.
Isn't it too dreamy? But nowadays, there's like an explosion of narratives with magic realism and mystery or psych mystery in every single streaming service. Do you think it was actually Twin Peaks that opened that door?
It would be crazy to think that was the only reason, but I do think that to some extent, because I've had a lot of the subsequent creators of those shows tell me, your show in a way gave me permission to try something like this. I felt because you had done it, maybe I could do it too. And I've heard that from enough people that I tend to believe it. And I'm really grateful that it worked out that way. And I'll also say, it doesn't often pay to be ahead of your time, as we know.
Yep.
But because of the way the industry was changing, and because, the videotape led to DVDs, and suddenly everybody had one, and suddenly everybody was watching Twin Peaks again in the early 2000s. When we finally came out with DVDs, the show came back and actually surpassed what it had been before in terms of reputation and reaching people. So enough of that had happened that I felt, I think it was in 2012, I called David up and said, let's go to lunch, because I think I have a way to bring it back. And that's what led to season 3.
There's a sort of evil out there. Something very, very strange in these old woods.
You've named David a couple of times, and I did want to ask you what the creative process with David and yourself was. I mean, what do you think is the moment where you complimented the most and the moment where you sort of crashed the most?
We were instantly friends when we met in 1985 on another project that I was going to write and he was going to direct that didn't happen for a variety of reasons, as is often the case in Hollywood. But I realized that we had a connection that was viable and that turned out interesting things. And so we tried a few, and it wasn't until the idea of the possibility for Twin Peaks just fell in our laps. We weren't looking to do TV. We recognized it as an opportunity. I had to talk him into it a little bit because he'd never done television. But I said, if we can do this right, this could be a game changer.
7:30 a.m., February 24th. Entering the town of Twin Peaks.
Who is that?
My name's Audrey Horn.
Twin Peaks had a fandom before marketing strategies were invented. I mean, nowadays we understand, but this is 30 something years ago.
It was completely organic. And I can remember to this day, we were working on the second season and the internet was brand new. I still, I think, had an old AOL mail account and you had to hook up a modem, and it took forever. But my line producer came in and said, take a look at this. And he dropped a stack of papers this high on my desk. And I started reading through it. I said, what the heck is this? And he said, those are online forums of people talking about the show. And it was mind-blowing to see that it created this kind of instant global community of people who really dug what we were doing. It was incredibly encouraging, I gotta tell you.
The owls are not what they seem.
En el canal de YouTube del Tiempo encontrarán noticias de Colombia y el mundo. También series originales, documentales y reportes de nuestros corresponsales. Suscríbase y active la campanita.